All right, welcome everyone. Another episode of the AI-powered Seller. I am Jake Dunlap, CEO of Scaled, Journey AI, Rev Optics, and the Dunlap household. Well, I'm not really the CEO. I'm more like the president there. Or maybe I'm more like vice president, let's be honest. Today's episode is going to be a shot in the gut for a lot of companies. I'm going to talk about IT and how IT is ruining many companies' generative AI strategy and hopefully what you can do about it. And it's not intentional, and maybe ruining is a little harsh, but I'm just seeing it more and more in the market, where what's happening is companies are trying to move forward. They're like, hey, I know for these roles, I can be more productive if I just have this thing. And then IT's like, no, we didn't sanction that. And it's killing productivity as a part of that. And so if you're an IT professional listening to this, I just want to say that I love you. And this isn't anything personal. But there is a big difference between understanding what AI is and understanding the capabilities of what it can do. So today I'm going to talk about the big ones, like what we're seeing in the market. There's kind of 5 core issues that we're seeing IT push back on: data security, integration, lack of control, clear ROI, and ongoing support, right? And I'm going to try to break down each one of these so you can break it down for your leadership team. Or if you're in IT, maybe I can give you some comfort to move forward with some more aggressive solutions here, because the future is now. If you've listened to the last week's episode or the last episode of the pod, then you would have heard me talk about what's already capable today. In the last episode, I really broke down that, man, forget this general AI deployment. You could be creating this. And so, if you didn't listen to that episode, make sure to go take a listen. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast so you get the latest and greatest. If you're watching this live, thank you. I appreciate you. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. And we're going to get into it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is data security and privacy. Oh, man, this is the IT, calling card. So let me tell you what happened. Okay, there was an incident that happened in April of 2023. So literally, my friends, 2 full years ago. OpenAI had only been around since what? November, December, January, February, March. 5 months. It's a little baby, little AI baby. And what happened in April 2023 is someone from Samsung decided to upload some of their board minutes to summarize it. Well, somehow somebody, and by the way, this is ChatGPT, it was still old information. There wasn't a live internet. There was no custom GPTs. The model was the 3.0, the 3.5, or I can't remember what it was. And it literally said right there, it's do not upload sensitive documents. ChatGPT is 5 months old. It's look, man, I'm reckless right now. And somebody was able to actually search those board minutes and found some details. It wasn't some proprietary, thing. That incident created scar tissue across every company, not every, but a lot of companies, where they're oh, we can't share proprietary data. It's going to feed the model. And yeah, hey, you know what? You're not wrong 2 years ago. That's what it was. But now, if you fast forward to today, OpenAI encrypts data in AE. Okay, these are nerd stuff. AES 256 TLS 1.2. OpenAI also SOC 2 compliant. It literally says, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to literally drop the T's and C's into the show notes. It literally says no information. If you use the Teams, the Enterprise, or the API, no information is shared back. The conversations aren't shared back. Nothing's shared back to training, etc. And so when it comes to data security and privacy, ChatGPT, OpenAI is just as safe as as Gemini, as Copilot, of any of the other solutions, right? And it has superior models. ChatGPT now they've got the 4.0 model, the 4.5 model, the 0.1 model, the 3.5 model. There's so many different models that are better for different use cases, that by not allowing your team, and by the way, Perplexity is fantastic. Claude is also fantastic. And all 3 of those are superior to Gemini and Copilot. And so when it comes to data security and privacy, if you are making your generative AI decisions purely based on that, you are literally forcing your teams to use software that is inferior to what exists today. So look, IT's job is to be safe and compliant, etc. I get that. But we got to get rid of this mindset of ChatGPT, April of 2023. It has the best models. And again, any of these now are secure. You're not hearing any of these, breaches. The worst thing I've heard recently is, some Russian hackers. This was, maybe a few weeks ago, were able to get some custom GPTs that were public. By the way, if you create the custom GPTs in your Teams or enterprise environment, this is not applicable. They were able to have it give up its custom instructions. Like, hey, how did they write you? How did they do this? Which, again, I don't think that that's a big a deal. And it's certainly not applicable to a company that has a Teams environment. Okay, so that's what's up. So again, if you're a seller out there, look, I'm not saying go against your IT department, but I am saying that there is close as possible to no risk if you put a call transcript in there that all of a sudden your competitor is going to go, ooh, let's see what Scaled is talking about. Like, it's not happening, okay? This is all fantasy land, right? So if you're worried about it, don't worry about it. IT departments, I'm sorry, it's the truth. So if you don't like it, go do your own homework and tell me I'm wrong. Feel free to leave it in the comments, but leave me the comments on how the Teams or Enterprise Edition will share information back and potential breaches in the last, 12 months, okay? All right, so that's my high horse on data. All right, next up, my friends, integration stuff, okay? OpenAI's API is super, super easy. You can use, I mentioned it maybe for the first time, Make and N8N in the last week's episode. But more than anything, when I think about integration complexity, I want you to think about integrating it to the role of the person. And that's for everybody out there. This is how you should be thinking about it. For my role, my wife even created a custom GPT. I should be creating little agents for myself that prompt me so I don't have to prompt. And so again, last week's episode, I broke down like what goes into a custom agent. But when I think integration, it says, okay, for this marketing role, how should this marketing role use it? Okay, they're going to use generative AI. They're going to have one little agent for this thing. They're going to still need to prompt for this thing. Great. This next role, how should they integrate it in there? So it's really not this complex integration that we need to think about across every department, across, every group. It's about the role. And I've said this 5,000 times. It drives me crazy. It's like, stop asking that what's our AI integration strategy? That is literally like, I wonder if 1995, they had a chief internet officer who said, what's our internet strategy? You're like, well, what was the answer then? The answer then was, well, it depends. And what does it depend on? It depends on the role of the person using it. That's how they're going to use the internet. That is also how they're going to use generative AI. So that's what's up, my friends, on integration stuff. Okay, next is lack of control. Okay, I can't control what it says. Like, what if it gives misinformation? This is a big one, right? Let's be honest. Back in the day, the word hallucination, hallucination used to mean something completely different. But over the last few years, hallucination means AI will make shit up, right? And it will just kind of say, well, I think that this is interesting. Let me give you a really good example. This is well over a year ago, right? So now it's not like, well, Jake said it hallucinates. I was using the paid version probably a year and a half ago. I was like, okay, I'm trying to write this type of content. Help me to get some stats around this thing. It came back with some killer stats. I was like, man, these are really, really good. And it was also one of those things where it's like, this is too good. Like, these stats are like, they're too much like validating my opinion. And so I'm like, can you cite your sources for me? And it goes, oh, no, those were just placeholder sources. And this is before like it had search turned on, a whole bunch of other things. And I was like, you just made these up? Like, thank God I didn't go post these things. So when it comes to lack of control, the hallucination and that part of it is getting less and less and less an issue. Again, if you're not using the paid version of any of these tools, you absolutely should be. They will all cite their sources for you. So the whole idea of ChatGPT making stuff up in stats is gone. It's gone. ChatGPT will cite its sources. You say, great, cite your source. It's like, here's the link. Here's the things I used as a part of it. Journey AI. If you go use meet journey.ai, it literally, the very first thing it returns a search. It says, here are the 5 sources that I used. You use some of the advanced reasoning models. It will show you the sources. So, the lack of control over outputs. The other point, so that's one point, is it already is citing sources. So therefore, it's pulling from information and making extrapolation, not just based off general LLM thought, but also off of sources. So know that. The other thing I think that is very, very interesting around this, okay? This is going to be the gut punch maybe for a lot of you. How often does your friend or your leader give bad advice? How often does you ask a human about something and they give you advice and you're like, it's like 80% good. So why do we, and maybe let me take it further. How often do you do a Google search and the results suck or are like mediocre? So guys, because it doesn't return the perfect answer, the perfect controlled exact thing every single time, who cares? Neither does any other place that you get advice from. Every place you get advice from gives mediocre advice at times. Other times, 10 out of 10. So I want a lot of you to think about that are you throwing one, does your prompting just suck to where you're not getting good outcomes? Two, sure, it might not be perfect. It might hallucinate a little bit, but that's better than not using it, right? The analogy that I always use is this. Your people have the internet, okay? Your people can go to websites. Your people right now can go to OnlyFans, right? If that's their thing, on the internet. So is it better that they still have the internet and can use it, or is it better to shut everybody off because it might not be, because of one or two use cases? Well, let me guess. The answer is it's better to have the internet, okay? So we have to take that same approach to AI. Yes, we don't have 100% control of it, but you don't have 100% control now over the quality of answers that people are getting. So get over it as a part of it. Okay, next up, I've got ROI concerns, okay? Jake, what's the ROI? And I get this one. This one to me is like, I totally get it. As someone who's been in sales for a long time, there are kind of some very basic sales arguments. The first is I can make you more money. Make you more money is always the best sales argument because then I can show this really positive lift. Everyone likes to make more money. Step two is I can save you money. Not quite as good. We struggle with that component. The next is I can get you a higher quality of insert thing, right? So more higher quality widgets. And then the last is time savings. Time savings is the one that people struggle to quantify the most. And that is, I think, one of the biggest issues that I see in generative AI is because it's a time saving and also higher quality. It's actually the last two, which candidly sometimes can be the hardest to prove. Because it's those two things, I think companies are struggling to say, what's the exact ROI on this? Oh my gosh, what's the ROI, right? And so I will tell you the stats that we are seeing here, and you can do with what you want. About 8 months ago, we did a survey. We had about 300 sales reps, sales leaders respond. How many of you are, how much for those, if you had to be using ChatGPT, how often are you using it? And at that point, I want to say it was 28% of people said 5 hours or more a week. Holy crap. I mean, that should be eye-opening. Guys, we literally redid that survey. I think we only had a couple hundred respondents literally a month ago. So 6 months later, 42% said they were using it 5 hours or more. My friends, let me ask you what is faster. Going to Google. Okay, I get a new meeting. Ooh, yeah, I got a new meeting. I go, this is me typing, right? I'm typing, let me go to their website. Okay, I go to their website, click around, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm like, okay, now let me go to their LinkedIn profile. Okay, read. Okay, fast forward 20, 30 minutes. That's how people are doing it right now. Or, and again, prompting, I'll give two examples, prompting and then using an agent. You should be using an agent for discovery call prep, 100%. An agent will literally say, it knows on the back end all of the things that go into good discovery call prep. And literally it says, ready to get started. And then it says, give me a link, give me a PDF of the person's LinkedIn profile. Then it reads it all for you. And it says, great, Jake, here's your discovery call prep. So then obviously you could prompt that. You could say, great, hey, here's the link. Here's what I think goes into good discovery call prep, blah, blah, blah. Pull these information, So there's some prompting you can do there too. If you don't want to use a custom GPT. But what is faster? And logically, what's the ROI of Google? Whenever we went from going to the library to Google, who was the first person that was like, well, what's the ROI of using Google? I can go to the library and get this information. It's logically, I think this is going to save us a ton of time. So it's like I can just give something a link, give it the thing. It does all the summary and analysis for me. Then I can look at it and review it and see what I like. Or I go and I search around the internet. So my friends, to implement this stuff, you're talking about $50-$60 a month per user. To have custom agents, you can get the paid version of this stuff for $20-$30 a user. So the costs are not high. The time savings, literally, you're talking about, we're talking to a team that has 400 people. They deployed Copilot, and they didn't deploy any of the agents along that do all the things I'm mentioning. And I'm like, guys, you have 400 reps. Because you're still making them go and learn how to prompt and be an expert and do these things, you're still requiring them to spend hours doing that. If you have 400 reps and I can save them 2 hours, or 2.5 hours per rep per week because they now are getting prompt, that is 1,000 hours of productivity in your sales team per week. What are your quotas? Okay, well, there you go. I just gave you guys 2 free calendar months or whatever the math is. So, the ROI to me is pretty straightforward, right? Now, yes, should over time we be able to show, more meetings booked? Absolutely. Should we be able to show decreases in sales cycles because we're having better, higher quality conversations, more win rates? Absolutely. We should be able to tie it to make more money, which is what everybody loves. But guess what? I can tie it to higher quality insights and time savings pretty significantly. It's a big, big deal. So that's my ROI cost concerns. It's not that expensive. It's way cheaper than probably 80% of the sales tech you use. There's a lot that I would give up as a part of that. So support and maintenance. Okay, this is last but certainly not least. And again, I get this one in particular. The issue we're seeing is that this stuff is just evolving so quickly that, in the last, 8 weeks, ChatGPT released the O1 Pro reasoning model, 10 out of 10. Claude raised $3.5 billion. They just released the 4.5 model. So this stuff is evolving quickly. So yeah, there is a little bit of staying up to speed. It's required. It's required for everybody, not just IT, for you in sales, for you as sales leadership. You have to stay on top of this stuff too, right? And so, for us, the beautiful part is all of this is actually because the nice part about what's happening is there's a lot of really good technologies that they're doing the development for you. And a lot of this is just how you put it together. The future will be everyone can build a X agent, but are my instructions or my knowledge documents better than yours? Can I program the agent with proprietary data sets better than you can? And so when you think about maintenance and keeping up to speed on some of your custom GPTs, yeah, those are things that you're going to need to adapt every few months, right? Oh, there's a new model out, or this thing happens. So yeah, I need to go and change, this part of the instructions. But the cool part about this is it's not highly technical. Like most of these changes are wording or phrasing or how we're putting together things or making the knowledge documents better. So that's the really interesting is, we're entering this world of where sellers, every single one of you can learn how to create an automation and make. It's not tough, right? Lots of people on our team have trained themselves. So, when it comes to, call it this idea of support and maintenance, the support and maintenance is very minimal, right? And it's no different, just think the only thing you're really supporting and maintaining is the proprietary knowledge sets, because all the technologies are automatically upgrading in this. And yeah, sure, if one of their technologies goes down, something misfires, it happens. But that happens in technology every time. So this idea of support and maintenance being a blocker, it's so much easier to support than like almost any sales technology tool, because you're just using words. You're saying, hey, why isn't it giving me the same outcome? How do I go make those tweaks? So it's easier, and at least in my opinion, it's literally easier than ever. So that's what I got for y'all, right? Data security and privacy. Guys, April 2023, it's 2 years later. Can we please move on? Right? All of these things are secure. You're not seeing it happen when you invest in the paid versions, etc. It's time to move on. There are superior models. You are hamstringing your team by not letting them use the best of the best and forcing them to use, technology that's already been outpaced a year ago. Okay? Integration complexity. We're talking about integrating in the roles. Stop with this big picture stuff. We'll focus on the roles. Let's figure out here how we're going to integrate it here. Pick 1 or 2 pilot use cases. Right? Lack of control. Again, continuing to make the agents better, you can get your quality of information better or the output better. And just understand these models are getting better and better. AI is never going to be worse than it is right now. ROI. I don't know how to say it. Like, what's the ROI of Salesforce? I don't know, but I know it saves you a lot of time, and forecasting would be nearly impossible without it. I don't know how to quantify that. What's the ROI of having access to Google? I don't know, but the ROI of having the internet is better than the ROI of not having the internet, right? And support and maintenance. This stuff is really, really, really basic stuff. This stuff is not overly technical. Your code is breaking. That's not how it works. A lot of this is just keeping up to speed with like small changes in the model and making sure we're supplying it with better information. So my IT friends, hopefully you got a lot of value out of this. Maybe you're like, hey, I want to subscribe too. Make sure to forward this episode over to your IT team. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you got value out of it, or make sure to share this podcast if you're listening as well too with your team. My hope for this episode is we kind of are lowering the temperature a little bit. We're making it a little easier to be like, all right, cool. Like, let's get going. Let's not worry about the fear and uncertainty and that stuff. Like, we actually can get started much faster, and it's a lot less complex than we think. And it's actually getting less complex as time goes on. So that's what I got for you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Another episode of AI Powered Seller. We will see you on a new episode every 2 weeks. So like I said, make sure to subscribe to the channel and share with your teams. Like I said, I think every CEO, CIO needs to listen to this episode to understand what is actually happening at the forefront of generative AI. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.